I think we're going to change the rules today because you are very privileged. In our midst, we have doctors and professors. Professors from top universities at the global level. You are privileged. So what we're going to do today is not to get you to ask questions, but we're going to also invite these professors at least to just say 3 or 5 minutes talk. This you will benefit. So let me first start with Mrs. Hadi Klubali. I'm sure you have something to say. No, let him come last. You come first. 3 minutes is okay. I'm sure you can do more than that. Yeah? You want to come? Okay, please. She will basically tell you who she is and what she does, and that will inspire you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening by now. So quickly, I am Hadi Jallo Coulibaly, as most know me by now. Some say I've sold my Jallo, but I kind of sneak it in the middle. But here I am. So just a quick background of who I am. I work professionally as a financial services professional, a fintech, in the fintech industry, to be exact. I currently work as a senior vice president of operations for a supply chain financing company out in the US. And you all just heard a great decision-making message from my Gambian boss, Dr. Baji. I serve as his chief financial officer from across the world. So that's my job for him, trying to manage his money. So his decisions affect me every day. And sort of my decisions affect him and the entire business and then the entire company. I'm also a community advocate, aspiring to be like most people, like Ms. Kumbadafe here. I run a foundation called Elevate Foundation that's geared to bring quality education and healthcare to the underserved here and in the US. And I also ran a community organization out of Atlanta called Ajera for about 4.5 years till this past February. It is the largest and most influential diaspora organization on our side of the world. So, and I'm also a mother of 2 and a wife. That's my summary. But I wanted to also do a little bit to understand my journey and what Ms. Kumbadafe had shared about when she left the US, how she got there, and the job she held. Is not unique to her. It's not everyone, but it's not unique to her. A lot of people see people that leave and envy them, but they don't understand how they got there, how that decision was for them to get there, and how they actually survived to live there and then come back and have the opportunity to be able to give back. She was determined. She took account. She made a decision. She was accountable for herself, and then allowed herself to be accountable to her husband, and came here and set up and is able to give back, and that is her success, to build a legacy. And I think people have to follow that track to understand that to live on this earth, you're occupying space. I like to say, don't be a waste of oxygen. It is. You have to follow your path and be able to do it. It's never too late to find that, never. But if you hold that accountability, make good decisions, you'll get there, inshallah, one day. One thing I wanted to do also, this list has 12 characters on there that Mr. Njai had shared with us. And I look at it and I think about it, and I heard what both your speakers had said. In this crowd, who can give me one Wolof word that maybe, I'll divide it into 2, that gives you 1, integrity, commitment, accountability, decision-making, and confidence. What Wolof word can you think of that says you have to have that? Magiden kodewa all the time. Duorsak. Ngor, one of them. Jom, there. Nikidanga am jom. That is one thing that the elders have always told us, that for us that have left and come back or are coming back, jom, munyobu. ñaka ruslo say mbok ñaka ruslo say waaju ñaka ruslo sa bopp nga am jom continuer sa path def li nga war a def li la war nga ñëwaat. Beneen bi si tegu is the other half of it, the rest of the words. I think of it, empathy was the first thing that popped up to me to think about. And that's am ite. Xelaatal sa boppaat waaw dëgg la but xelaatal ñi la wër ak ñi nga bàyyi gannaaw ak ñi ñëw nit ki da nga am ite. The fact that you work for these people that have companies, I work for them. I work for Dr. Ismail Abaji. I do my job. Technically, I have 4 jobs. Every day, I have a list. I divide it into 4 boxes. And I swear I do this every single day. I have a notebook. I write the company names. Big card, Innovarex, personal, that's my life. Consulting, one of them, just very small, it doesn't happen every day. But that is my priority list because I committed to it. I am accountable to deliver those that I listed. And every day I make sure I cross them off and I do it. As you plan your life, you can divide it. But I care, but I care that they have families, they have companies, they have thousands of people that are depending on them, relying on them. And I'm one of those that make sure that that money flows to take care of all of that. If I fail them. I fail an entire generation. That's how I feel. Because the company wouldn't last. So the care that I have is my ite, and that's why I deliver on my decisions, and I'm accountable for those decisions. So I'm not gonna go long, but I'll give you a couple of things that I wanted to say about that. Accountability to me and to you should be always own up your decisions that you make. Always. Good or bad. What you need to do is make sure you always do the right thing. The decision could be bad, but if you made it thinking you did the right thing, you can sleep at night. But then you can come back and correct it. And part of that is those decisions that you make. Lastly, is that don't be afraid to fail in those decisions that you're making. He said decision making, it's very important to me. But don't be afraid to fail. Again, you're doing the right thing. So you did the right thing and you failed and you come back, oops, I made that mistake, you can correct it. My former boss used to say, failure is part of life. Don't be afraid to fail. What you need to do is fail forward and fail fast. What that means is, don't make it a centralized behavior like Dr. Badger said, and sit and wait for someone to pick you up. No. You get up and you say, you dust yourself up and you run fast so you can get there. And that's the decision that you should be making there. So I say that because we all have these decisions that we have to make, and the journeys we take, the paths are different. You can take a turn here or there, but if you set your vision and be a visionary like Uncle Taf, you guys are so lucky that he's actually bringing you together to give you a gift of preparing you for life as leaders. So I say one last thing. Don't be afraid to seek information, like Ismail said. Be a sponge. Soak up all the information you can get from leaders like those in the room here today. And from your friends and family that you believe have a clear path and the right path. And you wouldn't fail for long. But instead, you will build a future that you want to see yourself and everyone around you in. So thank you. Have a great evening.
Wow. Thank you so much. How could we have missed this? Let's give her another round of applause, please. Now, our next speaker is someone that I must read his short bio, because otherwise I won't do justice to you and those that will be watching us on TV. Because, you know, one thing that we have as Gambians is that we are too entitled, that we don't value what we have. I mean, to have somebody like this personality sitting in front of you, it's like you have won a lot. I mean, the lottery is an ace. So I need to just read out his short bio so you understand who's about to talk to you. His name is Professor Archie Jones Jr. Archie Jones coaches leaders in the field, the classroom, and the boardroom. Archie is focused on investing in maximizing the impact of private and social sector enterprises, coaching senior leaders and management teams on creating value and developing leaders to realize their full potential. In the private sector, Archie is managing director of Six Pillars Partners. Six Pillars Partners employs a value-based approach to investing to high-growth companies. Prior to Six Pillars Partners, Archie held executive positions with both public and private companies, including Merrill Lynch, Parthenon Capital, Kenexa, IBM, and now Corporation. He currently serves on the board of directors of FleetCor Technologies Incorporation, which is listed in the New York Stock Exchange, and JobVite Incorporation. Committed to serving others beyond the private sector, Archie sits on the boards of Project Evidence and Mickey Leland, is this Kidupuzim Foundation? He also serves as a strategic advisor to New Profit Incorporation and the Russell Innovation Center for Entrepreneurs. As a senior lecturer at the Harvard Business School, Archie educates and mentors future leaders and develops strategies to advance the field. Archie is a certified public accountant and a graduate of Morehouse College and Harvard Business School. You know what this means? I'll let you take the decision. So, Professor Archie, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It is so great to be here. Uncle Taf, thank you for inviting me. Brother Taf. I'm excited to be here at the Taf Leadership Academy. Yes, I do teach at the Harvard Business School, but I'm also an investor and I'm also an advisor. And one of the biggest and most important investments that I make is the investment in people. And I'm here to invest in you, just as all the folks on this stage and as Brother Taf has done as a part of the Academy. One thing as a guest, and I know I'm a guest, I'm a first-time guest, not just here at Taf Academy, but in this country, in Gambia. And one of the things I learned as a guest is don't overstay your welcome and stay too long, so I will be brief. I've got 4 things I want to share with you, and I encapsulate them in what I call leadership capital. And I teach this to the students at the Harvard Business School. Students from all over the globe coming to learn about leadership and how to be better leaders in the countries that they come from. And so there's 4 elements to leadership capital. And actually, before I give you the elements, why leadership capital? We spend so much time talking about financial capital, and some of my fellow speakers have talked about you wake up and say, well, I don't have this, and I don't have that, and I don't have financial resources. I think more important than financial capital, what you need is leadership capital. And what do I mean by leadership capital? First, you got to have some capability, right? You got to know what your superpower is, that thing that you bring to the table that is unique. You talked very much about you were a miracle at birth. You are still a miracle. You have something unique to bring to the table that is uniquely yours, that the world needs to see and that you bring to the world and that you offer there. That is your superpower. You need to understand what that is. You need to build that capability. We talked about staying on a particular job versus jumping around for immediate gratification. And one of the things that I also want to point out is Hattie Jallo Coulibaly is the reason that I'm here, and she embodies these 4 C's. And so I'll play a little bit of her story because she's a little bit underspoken in how wonderful she is, and she's the reason that I'm here. And I think it's important that as a Gambian, she'd be the example for what leadership capital is. So she's got capability. She's an operator. She delivers. She is accountable, and she makes great decisions. We've worked together in several organizations and companies, and I can count on her in every situation to deliver and to be accountable for the decisions she makes, and to be a strong decision maker. Second, after capability, is communication. You've got to be able to tell the story of where it is you're trying to get to. Hattie told the story of what a rich and wonderful country Gambia was and is, and that I needed to come and see it. That's part of the reason that I'm here, is that she told that story of the rich culture and the rich history and the strong people and the rich tradition. The third C in that is, I talked about capability, I talked about communication, it's connection. She is the bridge from the United States over here to Gambia. The relationships that she's created there and the relationships that she has here with folks on the stage and beyond creates this bridge that makes me want to come. And now I've got connections with wonderful folks like the builder that is Brother Taf and the other entrepreneurs on the stage. That being that connector, leveraging connections, and part of staying where you are for a while and investing in relationships helps you build those connections. You never get there alone. You're going to get there as a part of your relationships. You will only go as far as your relationships will take you. In addition to what you know as you build capability, it is a lot about who you know and who is invested in you and who is willing to actually back you and stand up and support you. So that is connection. And the last one, and probably the most important, is confidence, which ties back to one of our topics today around decision making. Confidence doesn't just happen overnight. Confidence happens in small ways and is built over time by actually risking failure, taking the chance to make a decisions, small decisions. Am I going to study? Am I going to show up on time? Am I going to dress appropriately? Am I going to speak up when I get the opportunity to share information? That's how confidence is built in little ways. I talk often about small wins. You can't make big decisions if you haven't learned how to make small decisions. And so confidence is built over time. And as young leaders, now is the time to start building that confidence in small and sometimes almost unseen ways by other folks. No one will see when you go to bed at night. No one will call and tell you what time to get up in the morning. It is in those small areas that you start to build confidence, tied around accountability and decision making. And so I will leave you with that while you are advancing as leaders and worried a lot about financial capital and other resources, I promise you, if you build your leadership capital, financial capital will come to you. Relationship resources will come to you. Opportunities will come to you. And so I implore you to spend your time, invest in yourselves, building your leadership capital, and it will take you a long way. Thank you for having me, and it's so great to be here.
Short and sweet. In other words, gata saf. Well, thank you very much, Prof. Thank you so much. Let's give him another round of applause. I noticed that the speakers before me, mainly the ladies, spoke some Wolof. So I just toed the line. And Wolof saying that I will say today, I'll leave you to do the translation, is that Nyambas Yahul Sir. You know what that means? Nyambas Yahul Sir. You know Sir, Malan. Malan is the wraparound. When you take the wraparound to the tailor adds a piece here. Although these days it's vice versa, huh? The Nyambas is quite long. They've been hit by economic reality. So basically, the additives that you add onto the soup can only make it better. And we've got 3 additives today. This was never planned. We have 2 here, but I have the biggest of surprise. And I will tell you why I continue doing this. Because it works for me. People wonder, why is he doing this? Why is he spending all the time? Why is he spending all this money on these young people? Some people think I have a long agenda, but let's keep them in the dark. But it just works for me. I started my day today at 7 o'clock because I'm accountable. I had 2 appointments. Somebody flew in from London, somebody flew in from Sierra Leone. So I picked them up today at 7 to take them to Taf City because they came on something doing with Taf City. Abis will tell you, I also had a commitment to launch the Gambia Youth Chamber of Commerce Trade Fair at our offices. So I had to be there at 10 o'clock. Whilst that was done, I had to rush to the mosque in Banjul to do my prayers, then rush back here for this. And this is not the end of the day. We're going to retire into a cocktail. But let me tell you why I continue doing this. And the reason is that I do have results. All of you do remember Wodemaya, because remember, he spoke to you. Now, Wodemaya's trip is yielding results. And one of the results is here in the room with us. Now, I just want to read a message that came from Male Sala. I guess all of you know Male Sala of Tamala. Now, when Wodemaya came, and the issue of sharing, I could have just kept him to my business, to interview me and then, post it on his YouTube channel. But I extended it to other Gambians, and that's something you need to learn. He did one with Ajikumba Dafeka, and if she were to stand here and tell you the results, we will not go away. Yeah, same thing with EJ Farms, who rear sheep, and then Male Sala. Now, so Male I invited to be here with us, but unfortunately he cannot make it because of, he's a bit under the weather. So I'll just read the message he sent to me. He said, Salam Taf, try to call you, but guess you must be busy with the event. I am not feeling well. I'm not feeling my best today, so I can't make it, unfortunately. But I had made an appointment with my guest. She's a professor in anthropology from Tallahassee University, Sierra Leonean and / African American. She's also very interested in youth development. A good network who contacted me through Wodemaya and came to see what we are doing here. She wants to meet you, and she wants to meet you, see what you are doing. Apologies, I was really looking forward to this event. She's on her way to paradise. So what a network. So Wodemaya was there, featured Male Sala and Tamala. She picked it up and flew, and the network goes on. Prof said it, connections. So why don't I put you, Prof, on the spot? We cannot have you here without saying a word. By the way, I've just met her. And this is what we need to do, not only in the Gambia, but in the African continent. We need to grow our network. So there you go. You're welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nzinga Metzger. I stand before you, the representative of ancestors on both sides of the Atlantic. Those who were taken away and were never able to return, those who returned, and those who never left. So I am the confluence of that experience, and I feel privileged to represent them in front of you today. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Thank you for putting me on the spot. I didn't have anything prepared for you today, but as Professor Taf mentioned, I'm a professor of anthropology. Does everyone know what anthropology is? Okay, so let me tell you what it is. It's the study of human beings. It's broken up into 4 fields: biological, archaeological, linguistic, and cultural. I am a cultural anthropologist, and that means I study culture. So I think what I wanted to say to you all today is that given the decision-making that the professor was talking about, the connection, the communication, the capability, and what was the last one? Confidence. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what the root of all those things is, and that would be culture. So when you are making decisions, what I want you to consider is that culture is much more than the clothing that you wear. It is much more than the language that you speak. It is much more than the holidays that you celebrate. It is much more than the dances you may perform. Culture is the root of your values. You get your values from your culture, and your values are what steer your decision making. And what we see all across Africa is people divesting from their culture every single day. They're making choices to divest and divorce from their culture in large ways and in small. And the result of that is the eroding of the things that bind us together as African people: communality, compassion, kindness, empathy, working together, understanding, and being humane to one another. There is a difference between the way Hadia Coulibaly is going to make decisions in a corporate situation than Bill Gates. And the difference is culture. That is what is going to make the difference when you all get into positions of power and you start making decisions in companies. We see every day the roots and the results of the decisions that companies all across Africa are making, right? For example, we can look in the Delta region of Nigeria and we can see Shell and Exxon, and we can see the results of the decisions that they're making. We can look in Sierra Leone and we can look at the numbers of companies who have moved there and are mining and digging up and scarring the earth and soiling the water and soiling the air, and we can see the results of the decisions that they're making. We can look at all across Africa and see that companies from outside of Africa are making decisions without the best and the good of Africa in mind, because they don't share our culture and they don't share our values. So what I'm asking you as young people, when you move into the boardroom, when you move into these decision-making positions, bring your culture with you. That is not the time to decide that you are going to wholesale assimilate. That is the time that you're supposed to stand up and say, this is who I am, and these are the values that I represent, and this is where I come from, and this is what matters, and this is how I'm going to allow that to impact my decision making. We need you to be who you are in the boardroom. We need you to move into the boardroom fully embracing your values, your culture, and making decisions so that Africa gets better for the next generation. Because we cannot afford to have any more people who are divorced and who are seeking to be anything other than what they are, making decisions for Africa. So that's basically the message that I want to bring to you. Think about the values that your culture brings to you. Think about the things that actually matter. The thing that I always say to my students is that culture is like a pair of glasses, right? For those of us who wear glasses, sometimes you forget that your glasses are on, right? Because you're seeing clearly. But if your glasses are cracked, or you have the wrong pair of glasses on, the whole world is distorted. So what I'm asking you to do is not to take your glasses for granted, not to take the fact that you have a culture through which you can perceive the world correctly for granted. I'm asking you to value those glasses, understand that those glasses are necessary, that they bring the world into focus for you, and make decisions based on what you are seeing through those lenses. So that's all I have to say. I thank you for allowing me to speak to you this evening.